In the 1770s, a guy named John Newton wrote the single most recognizable song in the English-speaking world. Can you guess what it is? Amazing Grace. And more than 250 years later, this song is still performed 10 million times every single year, and it's appeared on over 11,000 different albums. I mean, some of music's greatest stars have gotten in on their own version of Amazing Grace. Mumford & Sons, Destiny's Child, John Legend, Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, Aretha Franklin, U2, the Avett Brothers, Diana Ross, Judy Collins, Celine Dion, Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, Ray Charles, and none other than President Barack Obama himself.
Amazing Grace.
How sweet. I don't want to sing. I'm terrible at singing. The first few lines are the ones we all know best, right? Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. What makes this song so powerful and beautiful is that John Newton wrote it out of his own personal experience. You see, he was a slave trader who had a powerful encounter with God that changed his life. And he eventually became a priest, an influential preacher and writer, and he actually spoke out against slavery. It's a hymn about how God saved and transformed his life. But so much more than that, this song, it tells a much bigger story, that God is actively pursuing our lost hearts. God has come to find us and rescue us. And so that's why we're calling this series, I Once Was Lost. In the book of Luke, chapter 15, Jesus tells a series of stories about things that are lost. There's a lost sheep, a lost coin, and a lost child. And today we're going to look at the first of these three. And it goes like this. So Jesus told them this parable. What man of you, having 100 sheep, if he has lost one of them, does not leave the 99 in the open country and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders, rejoicing. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and his neighbors, saying to them, rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost. Just so, I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who need no repentance. So the first story in Luke 15 is about a lost sheep, which begins to paint a picture of our own lostness. You and me need to be rescued by Jesus because we have a wandering heart. You know, like most kids, my children would do just about anything for sugar. I mean, they live for it. Their obsession has grown so intense that they've developed almost like a strange sixth sense where they can sense the presence, just the mere presence of sweet stuff. I could try to sneak a single jelly bean into my house when my kids are upstairs playing in their room, and they'd be all like, wait, shh. I feel a disturbance in the force. Candy. It's like they can't even help themselves. There's no limit to what my kids would do just for one taste of the sweet nectar of a gummy bear. Now, sheep, they're sort of the same in that they're highly motivated by their stomach. They do just about anything for some of that sweet green pasture. They graze on the grass that's in front of them, but if there's any indication that there's sweeter, better, greener grass over there, they don't hesitate. Now, the problem with this hunger-driven grazing mentality is that it can lead them into some seriously dangerous and precarious places. They'll wander away from their fold of sheep and wander away from their shepherd without even realizing it. They'll wander away without even realizing that they've exposed themselves to things like wild animals and harsh weather and hazardous terrain and rocky cliffs. They'll wander away from all means of safety and security simply because they can't stop grazing for more. They can't stop trying to satisfy their belly. And what's interesting is that one of the most prevalent metaphors in the Bible to describe us, to describe the human heart, is sheep. For example, Isaiah 53:6 says, we all like sheep have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way. And what this means is that like sheep, our hearts are prone to wander. We wander away from the secure fold of Jesus. We wander away from the comfort and security of His words and of His way. We easily lose our vision for what really matters because we're distracted and we're captivated by things that don't matter much at all. And we've bought into the thinking that there's always something bigger, always something better, something sweeter out there. And unless we get it, we will be unhappy. We will be unfulfilled, unsatisfied. And so we won't stop. No, we can't stop until we get it. But there's a problem with this. A few years ago, Apple held a huge, highly anticipated event to introduce their brand new iPhone, the iPhone 6. And the way that Tim Cook, who's the CEO of Apple, the way he introduced the new phone, it really struck me. First, he began by raving about the iPhone that was released the previous year, the iPhone 5S. And he went on and on about how amazing it was, how advanced it was, how popular it was. He even went as far as saying that it was the #1 smartphone in the world.
These iPhones helped iPhone become the top-selling smartphone in the world.
That is until this speech. Because in the very next breath, he stated that now the iPhone 6 was the best smartphone you've ever seen.
Today, we are launching the biggest advancement in the history of iPhone.
I just find it so amazing how you can have the very best, greatest, most advanced thing in the world 1 minute and moments later, garbage, paperweight, desperately in need of updating. Well, I thought I was happy, but now I gotta have that to be happy. You see, there will always appear to be greener grass somewhere beyond where you're at right now. The feeling that you need to have just a little more to be really happy. The feeling that if I could just get the better clothes, the new shoes, or the phone, or the game, if I could just get the extra followers and likes on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, if I could just be a little more popular, just a little more success, just a little more recognition, just a little more attention, if I was able to just get one more relationship, one more girlfriend or boyfriend, then I'd finally have what I need. I finally feel happy. I finally feel loved. I finally feel validated. I finally feel like I'm enough. If I just get there, I'd finally be at peace and be content. But let me tell you something. You won't. It's an empty pursuit. You will always find that it doesn't quite fill you up in the way you thought it would. You will always be left wanting more. Your inherent desire to graze will not be quenched, and so you will continue to wander further still, discontent, disappointed, and longing for more. And as you allow your heart to be distracted and captivated by the promise of greener grass, the vision and voice and influence of Jesus will begin to fade into the background of your life until it becomes altogether silent, not holding any real meaning or importance for you at all. And that is why a wandering heart is a lost heart, desperately in need of rescue. Now I wonder, what is the greener grass that tempts you to wander away? What distracts and captivates the attention of your heart? We all inherently have a wandering heart, a heart that craves to be fulfilled. But if grazing from one thing to the next won't get us the happiness and fulfillment we're looking for, then what's the answer? How do we exchange this wandering heart for a satisfied heart? Let me tell you a story. In March of 2020, there was a man in the Seattle area that was arrested after leading state troopers on a high-speed chase. The guy was clocked at going 109 miles per hour, and he was driving so recklessly that he was hitting cars all over the place and didn't even stop. And one of the troopers was able to corner the suspect's car, and when he looked inside, he saw something that blew his mind. He saw a dog sitting in the driver's seat while the suspect steered. No joke, this is a true story. Now, eventually they were able to catch up with him, spike his tires, and get him to stop, and the suspect gave them just one explanation. He was trying to teach his dog how to drive. Now, I've always been amazed at what you can train a dog to do. I've seen people train dogs how to do high five, how to sit, how to stay, how to roll over, how to play dead. I've even seen YouTube videos of dogs going to the refrigerator and bringing back their owner a Pepsi. But evidently, you can't train them to do everything. Now, I tell you that because it's the same with sheep. There are some things you simply cannot train a sheep to do. You can't train them, for instance, to lie down. The only way a sheep will lie down is if they are filled, if they are totally satisfied, if they've had enough to eat. Now get this. In Psalm 23 in the Bible, it says this, says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul." Now this is saying, the Lord is my shepherd. He takes care of me so I don't lack anything. And it's saying He makes me lie down in green pastures. In other words, because of God, I stop grazing and wandering. Now, it's not saying God forces you to stop through harsh discipline. It's not saying God trains you to stop through mindless obedience. No, because God knows, like sheep, we can't be trained or forced to stop wandering. We will only stop when the void in our soul is filled, when our heart is finally satisfied. Psalm 23 is saying that when you meet God, you will stop wandering because you will finally be filled and have what your soul is really looking for. You will find that you have been led to the only green pasture you will ever need, His presence. You and me have this inherent desire to graze from pasture to pasture. A deep desire for more has caused you and me to pursue fulfillment in our life, to fill some sort of void or hole or emptiness within. And nothing has seemed to do the trick. All the promises from our world have come up empty. But what I want you to hear today is that Jesus is the more that your heart hungers for. Jesus is actually the green pasture that your soul compels you to search for. There was an old theologian and bishop who lived in the 4th century in North Africa. His name is St. Augustine, and he put it this way. He said, "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our heart is restless until it rests in you." And when you finally recognize that, and when you say yes to Him, you will find that you no longer need to wander. You will lie down in the green pastures of His presence, and your heart will finally be full and finally rest. And Jesus extends this invitation to us in the Bible. He says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." I mean, how many of you are tired of the wandering? How many of you are tired of feeling disappointed and discontent from the empty promises from our world? Like always feeling like you have to chase after the newest and greatest thing that came out, only to realize it didn't make you as happy as you imagined. Always feeling like you have to get more likes and more follows on social media, but still feeling so lonely and insecure. Always looking for another party, and yet the problems still haven't gone away in your life. Always trying to get the approval and praise of other people, and yet still feeling so unsure of yourself. Always working so hard to be the best, have the best grades, the best stats, the most success, the most achievements, but still feeling so anxious and stressed out. I mean, aren't you tired of it? Here's my prayer for you, that you would know that the solution to your restless heart is resting in Jesus. My prayer is that you would know and understand that God will do whatever it takes to get His life and love to you, no matter where you are, no matter how far you've wandered. God is for you, and God is pursuing you. And by the way, it doesn't even matter what led you to wander in the first place. That doesn't disqualify you from God's grace. He doesn't care so much about what led you to get lost, only that you are. And so yes, He pursues you because you are worth it and you are His.